Today I have the amazing Amy with me. Hi, Amy.
Hi, how's it going?
Not too bad. I'm excited because, Amy is a Warrior OG. So she was there for the very first Warrior Unchained Live back in 2019, and she was on the stage and in the audience.
Yeah,
And you were a vendor too, weren't you?
I was.
So Amy was all over the place at the first Warrior, but we'll get to all of that. But first, Amy, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everyone a bit about what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Amy Lee, and I'm the pelvis wellness warrior. I help women heal in all aspects of their life through their pelvis with physical hands-on therapy, energy healing, um, spiritual guidance, essential oils, um, with the intention of, hitting all parts of the being because we're so much more than a physical body. And the physical issues are actually the last place where it shows up. So if we can help you heal in the spiritual, emotional, mental, energetic realm, then you'll be healed in the physical realm.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What's interesting is I never used to, it was a little woo woo for me, the energy healing and all that. And then I went down to Kansas City to get certified as complaint free trainer. And one of the ladies that was there, she did Reiki, or that's how you pronounce it.
Yep.
And I had a migraine that morning. And she's like, would you mind if I do some Reiki? And I'm like, I don't know if I believe. She's like, you don't have to, but and I'm telling you, from the back seat of the car, she was riding with us, and she didn't even touch me. She had her hands over, and she did her thing. My headache was gone within, I would say, 10 minutes, gone, and I hadn't taken even one pill.
Yeah.
It, and so she made a believer out of me. I'm like, I don't know what kind of voodoo you did on me, but it was amazing.
Yeah.
And from there, I'm like, okay. Once she explained it, I understood it more.
Yeah.
So, do you get people that come in and are like, okay, I don't get this. How does this work? Is this some kind of, what is this?
Yeah. Definitely. Um, I mean, there are obviously other locations where it's a little bit more mainstream, like Madison or obviously bigger cities and things like that. But here, I explain it to them and I tell them, okay, if you have issues in your pelvis, it could be related to your root chakra or possibly your sacral chakra. And if when I work on people and they realize that, suddenly their periods are better or they're not, peeing their pants all the time. They're able to, I mean, I've literally had women come in here and say, I just want to jump on a trampoline with my kid. And I tell them, well, if you've had emotional trauma, um, any kind of emotional trauma at any point in your life, whether you remember it or not, if you've never released that energetically and emotionally and mentally, it's going to affect you physically in the way of, you know, maybe bowel and bladder disorders or
Yeah.
sexual dysfunction or infertility. Um, there's so much that we don't know about our bodies and about the connections to these other parts of us that it's hard to say, well, no, that's definitely not going to work because I've seen it work on my table in my office numerous times.
You gave a statistic in a coaching group, and you talked about when women's health started being studied. Can you share
Yeah.
that? Do you know what I'm talking about? Because I think everyone's
Yeah,
mouth was on the floor when you gave that statistic.
right. And yeah, that's part of my speech, but certainly. So women were actually not included in medical studies until 1994. So in 1987, it was strongly suggested and highly encouraged that we study women. By 91, it was clear that it was not going to happen. So they actually had to make it a law to include women in medical studies. So, what does this mean? This means that my example I always give is, our cardiac health. Okay,
Mhm.
so You always hear women have such strange cardiac symptoms. Women don't have the typical cardiac symptoms. Actually, females have the typical cardiac symptoms for females, but they don't know what they are because they didn't study us. They just assumed that we were just like men, and we're not. We have completely different hormones, we have completely different systems, and we have a completely different emotional capacity.
Yeah.
And I mean that's basic scientific fact. Um,
Yeah.
And so when you think about that, you think about, okay, let's say you have all of these women who are on cholesterol medications or, something to help with their heart function. The the symptoms that indicate the use of that medication is based on men. The dosage of that medication is based on men. The side effects of what to watch for, whether or not this is a good thing for you, is based on men. So how they don't know how, and that's, it's not just women, it's minorities too. Anyone with a darker skin tone, they really, up until 1994, were primarily studying white men between about the ages of 20 to 25 and 60. So even if, if you're an older white guy and you're 80, well, we don't know how those medications are going to affect you because they weren't studied on you. I've worked in long-term healthcare for a lot of my life. And again, they none of these medications were ever studied on the elderly. They're chronically dehydrated. They synthesize everything differently. It's it's not going to be, we won't have the same results. So I mean, it makes a lot of things kind of dangerous. You really have to ask a lot of questions, and you really have to pay attention to your body.
It's incredible to me just listening to you talk about it again. It just mind boggles me. You think that we're so much further advanced, but really, I mean, the 1990s was not that long ago.
No, I
You know,
graduated in 98,
right?
you
And I
know?
was 93. So I mean, to think about that, it's. I just when you said that, I'm like, that can't be true. That's crazy, but it's true.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you've had to face as a female entrepreneur then in your space, something you've had to overcome and conquer. What does that look like for you?
Well, it's been a lot. There's a lot of people have said, I've heard it tons of times from a few different areas that, you do essentially, you teach what you most need to learn. And throughout the process of learning pelvic health, I have had to overcome a lot of my own trauma to even know that I have that, or how do I say it, to even acknowledge, accept, and grow the gifts that I do have, and to, you know, the worthiness issues and the, um, oh gosh, um, I can't think of the word right now. The imposter syndrome, which is worthiness issues, all of those things. So a lot of it is childhood trauma. Like literally, I mean, you really do have to take care of that little kid in you.
Yeah,
And of course, being in the industry that I'm in more holistically, um, just getting someone with an MD behind their name to listen to me
yeah,
and to be like, you know what, I don't do what you do and you don't do what I do. But together we can really help our patients a lot more. So why wouldn't we do that?
yeah,
I'm not I mean, I'm certainly not dismissing them. I can't, you know, surgically remove a baby. I can't do surgery. I can't keep you
right.
alive, probably. Um, but that again is, you know, you don't take your vehicle to the body shop, to get its oil changed, and you don't take it to Tires Plus to have the windshield exchanged. You have to go to the right practitioner, and you
Yeah,
have to know the questions to ask, and that takes a lot of time, you know.
yeah, that's it's true. And like you said, it's not putting down one thing over another. It's a matter of what you need. You need to see the right person. I went through that as well. I absolutely adore my my doctor. She's like family to me. But when I was really struggling with my hot flashes, I actually went to a holistic provider, and she found my vitamin D was like tanked. It was like almost non-existent.
Yeah.
And once I started on the right supplements, I was like, holy cow, that's crazy. So you just never know. So like you said, there's a point to be made where you have to go to the person or to the whoever you need for the problem you're having. You know,
Hmm.
yeah, it's just fascinating to me. So, in kind of getting through that part of your life and conquering those things, it's an ongoing struggle, though, isn't it? None of us actually get over imposter syndrome. None of us get over,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
There's just another layer.
Right. But I mean, it's kind of a matter of embracing it and
Yeah.
continually working on ourselves, which is what Warrior Unchained is all about.
Right.
People
Absolutely.
on stage aren't perfect human beings that, we're all going to bow down to. We're all a work in progress.
Right.
So where has that taken you and where are you at now with your business and your life, kind of that you've embraced that part of yourself?
Yeah. I think for me, it has, it's just finally um, clicked, I guess.
Yeah,
And I'm going to probably get emotional.
that's okay. You and I have the same superpower. Amy and I will both cry on stage because we're both very emotional, empathetic people. And
Yeah.
so that it just comes, our emotion comes out our eyeballs.
Yeah. And I usually don't stop that. So if I cry on stage, it's just going to come out.
Yeah,
Because again, it's the easiest way for your body to heal. So
yeah,
side note, if you're someone who always stops yourself from crying, stop stopping. Just let it
yeah,
go.
I agree.
Um,
Embrace it.
yeah, no, I think it's finally, I have to live the life that I know I'm supposed to. And I don't need approval. I don't need understanding, and I don't need acceptance because the people that need me will find me, and they have been. And it's wonderful, you
Yeah,
know. And it takes a lot to get there because a lot of times that means, people that you thought would be in your life forever, just aren't. And,
right.
it's a grieving process. And then you see, a couple weeks, a couple months, maybe a couple years down the road, oh, yeah, that's exactly why this never would have happened had I held on to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It almost gives you that space to grow because sometimes that energy that what they're bringing into our lives isn't a good energy. It's not a good. They're not rooting for us. They're not cheering us on, and they're dragging us down, even if they don't intentionally mean to do it.
Well, and what's interesting too is that when things like that happen in your life, and if you really pay attention, you'll see that something awesome comes in. Every time you cut that dead weight, you can soar. So
Yeah,
every time you end something that was really never meant for you, at least long term, something else comes in that never could have come in before.
yeah.
This
I always,
literally, I just got a message from a friend today about this. We were
oh
just
wow,
talking about it.
that's wild. I always kind of envision like that bow and arrow, where someone's pulling you, and like as soon as you're able to like say let go, they let go. It just kind of catapults you.
Yeah.
You know. Wow.
Oh,
So
sorry.
let's talk a bit about what's that? Oh, you're okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Warrior Unchained while Amy's doing what she's doing over there. Um, oh, there you are. So with Warrior Unchained, we started this in 2019, and it looked a bit different than it did last year and what it looked like this year. The first year that I was throwing everything I had at it, like I added stuff in there that, looking hindsight, didn't make a lot of sense. Now I was just trying to give, and I literally gave everything away.
Yeah.
Um, but you were there and you were on stage for the very first one. Can you talk a bit about your experience at the original Warrior Unchained?
Yeah, I think, that was one of the first times that I was in front of a bigger audience. I mean, I'd spoke at a few networking meetings and stuff. And it I sort of treated it, and I do this all the time now. I sort of treated it as just me talking to a big group of girlfriends.
Which is
Um,
perfect.
yeah, exactly. I mean, the energy was great. There was so much support. People were receptive. People, congratulated me and they gave me tips. And there was just a feeling of togetherness. And definitely, some awesome people that really, they wanted to see you do well. You could definitely feel that from some of the people in the audience, you know.
Yeah.
It was just, it was, I mean, I thought it was a great start. I thought it was a great first warrior, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just it. I
We
mean, you
had
got to
so
start
much
somewhere.
fun.
Yeah, I had a blast
We
that
had a
first
lot of
year. I
fun.
mean, we always have a good time, but and you brought in the hula hoops, which now has become a staple. So
Yeah.
last year,
And
Amy
bringing
wasn't
more this year.
right. So last year, Amy was going to be there, but she had some circumstances happen, so she wasn't able to come. But she made us a hula hoop just for the official warrior hoop. So we had that there at the event last year, which was awesome. So you were there in spirit with us, anyways.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hula hoops are really great for your pelvic health.
yeah, and we've
I
got lots of
recommend them to
pictures.
everyone.
Yeah, we've got lots of pictures of people hula hooping the first year, which was
Yeah,
awesome.
even the DJ. We got the DJ in on that too.
Yeah, so we'll have to do that again this year too. Bring your hula hoops with. So let's talk about what you're bringing to Warrior Unchained this year.
Yeah. So since the first warrior, I have created my sacred womb healing. And again, it's all about exactly that sacred womb. You don't need to have a womb anymore, just a womb space, because obviously there's lots of reasons why people have to have things removed. Um, but sharing, what that really means. What is the sacred womb, and you know how can we improve in business by healing through our pelvis? How can we improve in our interpersonal or romantic relationships by healing through our pelvis, you know, because of the energy centers that are there. So, teaching about that, teaching about how, increasing your intuition, empowering you to really do what I'm doing and continue to do is accepting and owning and thriving with your gifts. Um, and if you're honestly, if your pelvis, if your womb space is all jumbled full of, you know, decades of crap, it's hard to do. And then if you add on past lives or blood memory, that's a whole nother ball of wax, you
Wow.
know? Yeah,
It's it's incredible to me the things that we don't think about usually. At least a lot of us just aren't like thinking like, am I carrying trauma, my pelvic area and stuff, which I'm sure there's quite a few of us that do. And if we don't think about it, and like you said, we've had this conversation before about, we always make jokes about peeing our pants when we laugh or when we sneeze when you reach a
yeah,
certain age, and that shouldn't happen. But we
right.
accept it as the norm, you know?
Exactly.
And it's
Common and
like,
normal are, we have to think about which verbiage we use, common versus normal. So,
right. And at this event, I like to think that we take the holistic approach. You're a whole human,
right,
you're a whole ass human is what I want to say. You know, you've got your business, you've got, your health, you've got relationships. There's so many aspects of our lives. And if we're not kind of focusing at least a little bit on every part of that, how do we grow?
right.
And your health, especially as women, that
Mm.
part of ourselves is very important. And so I'm
Yeah,
really excited to have Amy back this year to speak on it because I think it's going to really, we're going to have those jaw drop moments like, oh my gosh, I never, like the statistics you talked about with women's health and ways to, help us help ourselves to, be able to grow.
right.
Yeah, very cool. So do you have anything coming up, any specials, any offers, anything that's happening in your world right now that you want to share?
Yeah, actually, so am I'm looking for ladies. I'm going to do a case study. I'm looking for women who have already had one child, who have not had any aftercare, who are now about to or have had within the last 6 months, or within the next 4 to 6 months, are about to or have just had a second child. And I'm
Mm.
offering my entire sacred womb therapy to them half off.
Wow.
Yes. And there are stipulations and there's qualifications for all of this. Um, but that is what I'm looking for, because I really want to show people the difference in recovery, whether you've had a vaginal birth or a C-section, whether it was emergency, super traumatic, or whether everything went exactly as you planned. Um, there's a lot of elements in there that are not being addressed. So yeah, I'm really
That's,
excited.
that's fascinating. Times have changed so much since I had my daughters. And with my younger one going through, and having her son, just the things I learned through her that are so different. I thought when I went into labor, I had to have an IV. And she says, no, you don't have to have an IV, Mom. Like, what? I was just like mind boggled. There's so many things that she went through a midwife that she learned that I was just like, we just thought we had to do certain things. Like that was just the norm.
Yeah,
So I'd be fascinated to see people who sign up under that, for the half off is huge.
huge. Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
So how can somebody, if they're interested, they think they're a candidate, how can they reach you?
You can email me at amy at reproductivesolutionswi.com. That's really long, so I'll say it again. Amy at reproductivesolutionswi.com. You can also check out the website, which is soulhealingbodyworkwellnesscenter.com. And you can also, contact me through my Facebook page, Soul Healing Body Work and Wellness Center. Um, I would love to get that started, really soon. And just, yeah, show people and support people through healing, through a time that we just don't get enough help. We just do not get enough help after we have children.
You really don't. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many aspects of that you were talking about. I'm like, I worked for a physical therapist for a short time, and she talked about new moms having physical therapy. You just went through a traumatic experience having a baby, whether it's C-section or vaginal. And I'm like, I never even considered that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
learning from her, I mean, there are so many things that we're just not taught, we're not told, we're not even educated about. So, in talking with you, I'm always just kind of, I feel like I'm jaw dropped a lot around you, Amy, to be honest. Because
Yeah.
I learned so much of things that, like you said, that they're not the norm. They're common, but they shouldn't be the norm. And
Right.
so yeah. Let me know if I put your website in there correctly. Soul Healing Body Work and Wellness Center.com.
No, there's no and.
Okay. So Soul Healing, I'm just trying to make sure I get it in here. Soul
Yep.
Healing Body Work
Wellness center.
Wellness.com. Okay. And then I'll put that up on the screen. People can see your website and go out there and check you out. And you're in the Wausau area.
Yep, correct. Wausau Weston area. And I mean, I'm also obviously available, and to be hired for speaking engagements. And it's interesting because people will, because I'm getting leads off of different sites that I'm on, and
Yeah.
people find what I do super fascinating. And then I will get a lead, but then I get a message, and well, we don't know if the men will be comfortable, or maybe this doesn't exactly fit. And I will tell you that I mean, men need to be learning this stuff just as much as women, because women have had to learn about men for our whole lives.
Yeah.
So it's okay if men learn a little bit, and they should
I
want
think
to.
so.
Yeah,
Especially when it comes to, leadership positions, and you have a lot of, female employees or leadership teammates, however that looks, because we have things that we deal with all the time. We menstruate. Well, most of us, I mean, I don't anymore, but there's a lot of things that go along with that. And so the more they can learn, the more they can support, the people they work with, work for. our employees of, however that looks. I think education is always a good thing. You can't be
Hmm.
educated enough.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
I
So
think
that,
too, when you can really, um, if you understand your employees and can really capitalize on their gifts and
yeah.
showcase that, I mean, why wouldn't you do that? All it takes is a
Yeah.
little more understanding. That's all.
Well, especially when it comes to women's health, I mean, employers want employees that are healthy and happy. And when you've got women who sometimes are really struggling, once a month or even longer, just because of what's going on with their reproductive system,
Hmm.
that can affect their work, their production.
Productivity, which affects your bottom line.
Oh, absolutely. And we've
Well, I
seen those
mean,
things on TikTok and Reels where they have men hooked up to those machines that simulate what menstrual cramps feel like. And they're like
yeah,
hitting 6 and 7 and they can't even stand up. And the woman's over
yeah, but
there
it's like, okay,
like, yeah,
well,
this is
you got to go to work for 12 hours. Sorry.
yeah, yeah, get
Sorry,
on
the
your
kids
feet.
are sick. You're just gonna have to get up and do it and take care of them. Yeah.
And I think the more we all understand each other, I think just the better you can have a more cohesive workspace.
Yeah.
So I think if anyone out there does want to bring Amy in to speak at their business, I think you'd be showing your employees how much you really care.
Yeah.
So how can would they go through your website if they wanted to contact you about speaking, about coming and giving your presentation?
They sure can. Yep. Or they can
Perfect.
also check me out on gigsalad.com.
Perfect. Yeah, because we're streaming on LinkedIn as well. So that if anyone's
Yep.
watching this on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
make sure you get hold of Amy and just explore different topics that maybe you want to have her come in and talk about.
Yeah. On LinkedIn, it's Amy Kaiser. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to have you. Well, plus just to see you in person again too. It's been a minute,
I
so
know.
I'm excited to see you at Warrior and hear you speak and see all the cool things you bring, plus the hula hoops.
That's the truth.
Awesome. Well, if you haven't
I'm
attended
excited.
Warrior Unchained before, make sure you get in that space. We
Mhm.
have so many wonderful speakers, and the room. There's just some magic that happens in that space, and it's happened twice in a row now. So I think 3 times going to be even more of a charm. Go
Nice.
to warriorunchainedlive.com and grab your tickets. I mean, as for an event of this, I don't even know the word for it. This
Caliber?
impactful. What's that?
Caliber? Or,
Yeah,
yeah.
caliber and how impactful this is.
Mhm.
You're only spending $97 to be there for 2 days, which is kind of unheard of.
Yeah. That's
You
nothing.
know, so a lot of people are already upgrading to the VIP, which is 167, which includes Friday night as well. And we have Pat Miller with the Idea Collective coming in, and Susie Moon doing her comedy show, which I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Amy, for coming on today. Please go to Amy's website, check her out, give her a call if you need a wonderful speaker for your employees. Yeah, and otherwise, we will see you at Warrior Unchained Live in September.
I am so excited. So I can't wait to
Me,
meet a whole bunch of new friends.
absolutely. Well, thanks a lot, and we'll see everybody next time.